Imagine unlocking your front door and just letting a complete stranger walk right into your kitchen.
Yeah, with a huge bag of heavy tools.
Right, and you're just hoping they actually know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it is arguably one of the most stressful, high-friction things we do in our daily lives.
Oh, absolutely.
You have a pipe bursting or sparking wires, and you are immediately thrust into this incredibly murky, vulnerable position. You're worrying about being overcharged
And
or...
stressing over their actual competence.
Exactly. Or, and we have definitely all been there, you rearrange your entire day and the person just completely ghosts you.
Yeah, which is just the worst. And that vulnerability, it really stems from a fundamental breakdown in information.
Right.
Because when we look at the traditional, word of mouth economy for local home repairs, it relies on these really informal networks. They're highly localized and just notoriously fragile.
You're essentially flying blind.
You really are. I mean, you ask a neighbor for a recommendation, they hand you a phone number scribbled on a napkin, and you are forced to make this huge leap of faith based on zero structural guarantees.
There's no recourse if things go sideways.
None at all.
And that universal headache is what we are focusing on for you today. We're taking a deep dive into an incredibly fascinating solution to this exact problem, that whole stranger danger trust deficit.
Yeah, it's a huge issue.
Our source material today revolves around the digital platform for the Artisans Hub DA, which is billed as Ghana's #1 artisan marketplace.
Right, and the mission of looking at this specific platform is to explore how you successfully map a chaotic, informal offline network into a structured digital space.
It's really something.
It's a masterclass, really, in formalizing skilled trades and solving that massive bottleneck of trust because, they aren't just building a digital Yellow Pages here.
No, not at all.
They are structurally changing the incentives and honestly the safety nets of local commerce.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to understand how they are changing local commerce, we have to look at the actual architecture of the platform itself.
Right.
If you think about the gig economy apps you probably use every week, like, ride-sharing apps or food delivery, they almost universally operate on a two-sided model.
Yep, buyer and seller.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A rider with a driver, a hungry person with a restaurant. But the Artisans Hub takes a totally different structural approach. They connect three distinct groups.
Which is super rare.
Right. They connect clients, artisans, and vendors.
And introducing that third node, the vendors, it represents a significant departure from your standard Silicon Valley gig models.
Definitely.
Most tech platforms actively try to reduce the number of variables, right? Just to keep the user journey as simple as possible.
Which is exactly why I initially bumped on this when reviewing the sources. Because as a client, my only goal is to get my leaking sink fixed.
You just want the water to stop.
Right. So bringing the person who sells the PVC pipes into the exact same app environment initially feels, I don't know, entirely unnecessary to my experience.
Sure, it seems overly complicated.
It's like inviting the hardware store on your date with a plumber. To use an analogy, if you use a standard two-sided app, you're essentially hiring a private chef.
Right.
But then that chef has to leave your house, drive across town to a grocery store, haggle over the price of a steak, and drive all the way back before they can actually cook for you.
Right, which is incredibly inefficient.
Right. What the Artisans Hub G is doing by bringing vendors onto the platform is, like, building a fully stocked kitchen where the farmer, the chef, and the diner are all connected on the exact same ticket.
Oh, that analogy perfectly captures the logistics of physical trades because an artisan's ability to actually execute a job is permanently bottlenecked by their access to raw materials.
Yeah, that makes total sense.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, in a developing or really highly localized economy, sourcing materials isn't as simple as driving to a massive big box hardware store on the corner.
Right. It's not like you just pop down to Home Depot.
Exactly. It involves navigating really complex urban geography, negotiating prices in real time, dealing with completely unpredictable inventory. So by integrating the material vendors into the platform, the Artisans Hub KJ establishes a closed-loop ecosystem.
Meaning the communication, the logistics, and the capital all just remain within the digital walls of the app.
Yep. The artisan doesn't have to pause the job and disappear for 3 hours just to find a replacement valve.
Oh, wow. And we actually see the direct economic impact of this architecture in the testimonials from the sources.
We do, yeah.
Consider Ifua Boteng. She's a business owner and material vendor based in Takoradi. She reports that since joining the platform, her ability to reach artisans across her entire region has expanded massively.
Which led to a huge increase in her sales.
Exactly. The app isn't merely matching labor to demand, it's actively modernizing and digitizing the underlying supply chain that powers that labor.
So the whole workflow fundamentally changes.
Yeah.
The client books the plumber diagnoses the issue, realizes they need a specific gauge of copper piping, and immediately uses the app to source that exact pipe from Ifua's shop.
Right there on the spot.
Right. And that immediate digital sourcing reduces the friction of the entire job.
Right.
For you, the client, it means your water gets turned back on hours faster.
Which is all you really care about anyway.
Exactly. And for the artisan, it means they can complete way more jobs in a week because they aren't wasting daylight sitting in traffic trying to hunt down parts.
And for vendors like Ifua, it creates this entirely new, steady digital revenue stream.
It really takes a highly fragmented, informal local economy and binds it into an integrated digital network where everyone benefits simultaneously.
And because that supply chain is integrated so deeply, it completely changes the scale of the jobs the platform can handle, which honestly transitions us perfectly into the actual artisans themselves.
Yeah, the variety is wild.
The spectrum of trades covered by this platform is staggering. We're not just talking about light maintenance like, finding someone to mount your flat screen TV.
Or fixing a garbage disposal.
Right. The inclusion criteria here span the entire spectrum of physical labor, from microfixes all the way to heavy infrastructural development.
Yeah, looking at the list, they have your standard domestic services: electricians, plumbers, carpenters, painters, mechanics, AC technicians.
The usual suspects.
Right, but then the list pivots into heavy foundational construction trades. They specifically list welders and masons.
Wow.
And then it swings in an entirely different direction, covering bespoke personal craftsmanship by including tailors and even cobblers.
What's fascinating here is what that specific list of trades reveals about the unique dynamics of the Ghanaian economy compared to Western markets. The fact that a digital platform is being utilized to source masons and welders indicates that this app isn't just some convenience tool for minor hiccups. You hire a mason to pour foundations, right?
Yeah.
To build structural walls.
Yeah, and that requires moving tons of raw material. We're talking cement, rebar, heavy aggregates.
Which proves exactly why the vendor integration we just talked about is so crucial.
Exactly. A two-sided app couldn't support a mason because a mason can't just throw a ton of gravel in the back of a sedan. They need heavy supply chain logistics built right into the workflow.
That's such a good point. It demonstrates that digital adoption in this market is successfully penetrating heavy industrial adjacent labor.
But equally telling is the inclusion of cobblers and tailors.
Yeah, I thought that was super interesting.
Right, because in many modern Western economies, a cobbler is almost viewed as an anachronism. Like it's a niche luxury service you might use once a year for really expensive dress shoes.
Right, if you can even find one.
Exactly. But in Ghana and across many dynamic developing economies, there is this profound foundational culture of repair, maintenance, and custom creation. It is deeply woven into the daily economic fabric.
Like, a tailor in this context isn't just someone you go to when a button falls off your shirt.
No, not at all.
They are designing and fabricating custom garments from scratch for major life events. It's a highly relationship-based trade.
And that difference in trade types requires a highly sophisticated UI and UX philosophy on the back end.
Oh, for sure.
Digitizing a cobbler or a tailor demands an entirely different matching algorithm and user journey than digitizing, say, an AC technician.
Because an AC repair is almost always reactive. It's urgent.
Right. The compressor blows, the house is sweltering, you need someone there in 30 minutes. It's basically an emergency dispatch model.
Whereas hiring a tailor is proactive. You're consulting with them, picking out fabrics, scheduling fittings. It might be a 3-week process.
Yeah. So the fact that the Artisans Hub GH has designed a digital environment flexible enough to accommodate the high urgency panic of a blown electrical panel.
And the heavy logistics planning of a masonry project.
And the slow burn relationship building of a custom tailor, all under one unified platform. That is a remarkable feat of software engineering.
They've clearly deeply studied the cultural nuances of their local market and mapped them directly into the code.
Absolutely.
But, regardless of how brilliant the supply chain is or how wide the spectrum of trades is, we still have to confront the ultimate bottleneck.
The trust issue.
Yes. None of this back-end genius matters even a little bit if you, the client, open the app, look at a profile, and decide you're just too terrified to click the book button.
Great.
So let's look at the actual mechanics of digital trust. The sources outline how the platform works, like the 4-step process. But I want to skip the basic manual of how to create an account, and focus on how this app actually overcomes human hesitation.
Which is arguably the most important part. Overcoming that hesitation is the single hardest metric to move in any local services marketplace.
Right, because if I'm hiring a driver on a rideshare app, the platform tracks the GPS, I can see the license plate, and the interaction is mostly public.
It's contained.
Exactly. But home repair is private.
Yeah.
It happens behind closed doors. How does a digital interface convince me that the electrician it just matched me with isn't going to, accidentally burn my house down because they wired the breaker wrong?
To understand how they solve this, we have to look at the concept of information asymmetry.
Okay.
In classical economics, there's a famous theory regarding the market for lemons. Basically, when a buyer cannot accurately assess the quality of a product or service beforehand.
Meaning they don't know if they're getting a highly skilled professional or a lemon.
Right. They naturally assume the worst just to protect themselves. And because they assume the worst, they are only willing to pay a below-average price.
Oh, I see where this is going. And because the clients refuse to pay a premium, the truly skilled top-tier artisans just leave the market because they refuse to work for cheap.
Exactly. So you are left with only the bad workers. The lack of upfront trust literally degrades the quality of the entire market.
Wow. That is the exact trap of the traditional informal gig economy.
It is. And the Artisans Hub G shatters that market for lemons cycle through their verification badge. By stepping in as a central authoritative vetting body, the platform absorbs the risk of that information asymmetry. They verify the identity, the skills, and the background of the artisan before they ever even appear on your screen.
And we see the dramatic real-world effects of that badge in the testimonial from Kwame Asante.
Yes, the carpenter.
Right. Kwame is based in Kumasi.
Right.
And according to the sources, since he joined the platform, his income has literally tripled. Tripled. And he explicitly credits this to the verification badge, stating that it gives clients confidence.
And tripling in income is a massive economic indicator. It tells us that Kwame's carpentry skills were probably always excellent, and the demand for his work in Kumasi was always there.
The missing variable was purely trust.
Exactly. Clients were holding their money back because they couldn't verify his competence. The moment the platform applied that digital verification badge, the economic dam basically broke.
The badge acts as this powerful, immediate signal of quality.
Yeah, it completely replaces the slow, localized, and often super inaccurate method of relying on neighborhood word of mouth.
And it isn't just about the initial vetting either. It's about ongoing, permanent accountability.
Right, the reviews.
Yeah. If you hire a random off-the-books handyman and they do a terrible job, your only real recourse is to just be angry and not call them again.
Wow.
They suffer almost no reputational damage because their network is invisible.
But on the Artisans Hub, the final step of the transaction is mandatory rating and reviewing.
That public ledger of performance just permanently alters behavior. There are visible, inescapable consequences for sloppy work and compounding permanent rewards for excellence.
Which actually brings me to a statistic in the source material that honestly made me do a double take.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the platform reports a 98% client satisfaction rate.
Wow. Okay, I have to push back on that number just a bit.
Oh, no, right.
Because 98% seems almost mathematically impossible when you are dealing with the inherent chaos of home repairs. We are talking about stressed out people dealing with leaking sewage and broken cars.
Exactly. Emotions are running high.
Right. People are incredibly prone to leaving angry reviews in those states.
It is highly unusual. But if we look at the testimonial from Ama Mensa, she's a homeowner in Accra, we actually find the key to that 98% metric.
Okay, what did she say?
She praises her verified electrician for their professional work, but she also highlights something crucial: transparent pricing.
Oh, that is massive.
It really is.
The anxiety of home repair isn't just about the physical fix. It's about the financial extortion. It's that awful moment when the job is done, the person is standing in your living room, and they suddenly quote you a price that is 3 times higher than you expected.
And you have to negotiate while feeling incredibly intimidated.
Yes, it's the worst.
But by enforcing transparent pricing models and eliminating that predatory haggling phase, the platform removes the primary source of emotional friction from the transaction.
So the 98% satisfaction rate isn't just reflecting that the pipe stopped leaking.
No, it is reflecting the massive psychological relief clients feel. A traditionally high-stress, unpredictable emergency is transformed into a manageable, highly predictable transaction.
They have basically productized peace of mind.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because designing a system that engineers trust and peace of mind in, say, one or two tech-heavy neighborhoods in the capital city is an impressive achievement on its own. But scaling that intricate web of trust across varied geographies is a completely different tier of difficulty.
Wow, absolutely.
Let's look at the parent company behind this ecosystem, Six Grace Limited, and its founder, Michael A. Sarfo-Kantanka. They haven't just built a boutique neighborhood app. They've achieved a staggering level of nationwide scale.
Yeah, the operational metrics they have achieved are quite striking, especially when you analyze the liquidity of a specialized digital marketplace.
Right, the source of jobs.
Which is huge.
But the most impressive data point, the one that really signals structural permanence, is their geographic footprint. They are operating actively across all 16 regions of Ghana, per user actually prove.
Well, in the tech startup ecosystem, the greatest fear when launching a marketplace is building what is known as a ghost town app.
Oh, right.
This happens when a company spends massively on marketing, gets thousands of people to download the app and create profiles, but no one actually transacts.
High registration, zero engagement.
Exactly. But an average of 4 completed jobs per artisan definitively proves that this is a highly liquid marketplace. Supply is consistently meeting demand.
So artisans are securing enough continuous work to remain active on the platform.
Right, and clients are returning to book repeatedly.
It's a living, breathing economy, not just a graveyard of dormant profiles.
Yeah.
And achieving that living economy across all 16 regions of Ghana fundamentally shifts the narrative of what this platform is.
It really challenges the standard trajectory of tech innovation in emerging markets.
Not so.
Historically, major digital innovations, whether it's fintech, delivery, or gig platforms, they are highly concentrated in the capital city or major urban centers. They often just become exclusive conveniences for the urban elite who have premium smartphones and reliable internet.
Right, but by ensuring operational coverage across all 16 regions, the Artisans Hub G proves it is not just a localized tech hub novelty restricted to Accra.
Exactly. It is functioning as a genuine nationwide infrastructural tool.
It means a client dealing with a collapsed roof in a rural, predominantly agricultural region has the exact same access to vetted, verified masonry professionals as someone living in a high-rise in the city center.
Which represents a massive democratization of access. It democratizes access to quality, reliable services for the general population.
And simultaneously democratizes access to a steady customer base for the artisans, completely independent of their geographic isolation.
Right. Which circles perfectly back to our very first point about why having material vendors on the platform makes so much architectural sense at scale.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Because if you are a carpenter trying to fulfill a job in a remote region, having a digital nationwide network of vendors means you can instantly source your specialized materials.
You don't have to abandon your work and travel for days to a major metropolitan center.
The decentralized nature of the supply chain reinforces the decentralized nature of the labor force. Founder Michael A. Sarfo-Kantanka and the team at Six Grace Limited haven't just built an app. They have effectively mapped the messy physical infrastructure of an entire nation onto a highly efficient, transparent digital grid.
It's really incredible.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Let's synthesize the journey we've just taken. We started by examining the universal cross-cultural pain of trying to find reliable help for the things that break in our lives.
Right.
What the Artisans Hub G has successfully demonstrated is that informal economies are not inherently chaotic or destined to remain murky. They simply lack the proper organizing tools.
Exactly.
By introducing the verification badge, they completely neutralized the stranger danger and information asymmetry that plagues the home repair industry. And by bringing the material vendors directly into the software, they prevented the supply chain from becoming a bottleneck.
Ensuring that the local economy stays fluid and robust. It is a profound shift from a fragmented reality to a cohesive digital environment.
Yeah.
They provided the framework built on transparency and closed-loop logistics, and the market organized itself beautifully around those pillars.
I really want you to consider your own community for a second. Think about the last time you needed a major repair, a plumber, a painter, or someone to fix a structural issue in your home.
It's never easy.
How often do you still find yourself relying on incredibly frustrating, unvetted web searches? How often are you scrolling through outdated community bulletin boards on social media, making a blind phone call, and just crossing your fingers that the person who shows up is legitimate?
It happens all the time.
The Ghanaian model we've explored today offers a stark contrast, showcasing a much more elegant, integrated solution to a vulnerability we all face.
And that leads to a really fascinating thought to take away from all of this.
What's that?
Well, the Artisans Hub integrates the actual physical worker, the client, and the supply chain into one seamless, mutually beneficial ecosystem of ratings and bookings.
Right.
In the global north, we are incredibly accustomed to the fragmented way we operate. You search for a professional on a generic search engine, you read their reputation on a completely separate review aggregator, and then that professional purchases their materials from a massive, disconnected corporate hardware entity.
It is an incredibly disjointed, high-friction way to exist.
It really is. But if a specialized platform can successfully digitize, structure, and build unshakable trust for highly complex physical tasks across the diverse geography of an entire nation.
It begs the question for the rest of the world.
Exactly. Could this three-sided closed-loop model eventually become the standard expectation globally? Could we see this exact architecture eventually making traditional search engines and isolated review sites completely obsolete when it comes to how we engage with local commerce?
It makes you wonder why we continue to settle for the anxiety of the unknown when a closed, verified ecosystem clearly works so much better. It's a completely revitalized way to think about how we fix the things that are broken in our lives.